Some homes speak before anyone does. You walk in, and even before you notice the furniture, the light, or the view from the window, there's something unmistakable in the air, an energy that feels full, rooted, quietly powerful. Not loud, not ostentatious, just stable. Like the space itself knows how to hold wealth. Like abundance has already made itself at home. You may assume it's because of income, design, or sheer luck. But in the language of Feng Shui, there's often something else at play, something far older than trends and far more precise than coincidence. Because beneath every room's surface lies an energetic blueprint. And in that blueprint, the kitchen isn't just where meals are made, it's where fortune is sealed. This room, perhaps more than any other, is considered the financial engine of your home. The way your stove faces, the way your sink drains, the colors you choose for your backsplash, even the small space between your fridge and your cutting board, these details, while mundane to the untrained eye, are signals. And energy, as always, responds to signals more than words. In classical Feng Shui, the kitchen belongs to the fire element. It burns, it nourishes, it transforms raw into refined. And just like in life, what happens around heat either strengthens your foundation or scatters it. This is why when kitchens are misaligned, when the stove is poorly placed, when yin and yang fight instead of flow, when clutter overtakes clarity, it's not just digestion that's affected, it's money, it's health, it's family harmony. Because this room feeds more than your body, it feeds your future. In today's video, I'm going to guide you through 4 essential Feng Shui kitchen principles that can transform even the most ordinary layout into a powerful magnet for wealth, well-being, and grounded energy. These are not superstition. They're spatial intelligence, patterns observed for centuries, now confirmed by modern studies in behavioral psychology, neuroarchitecture, and embodied living. When you start to see your kitchen not as a chore zone, but as an energetic node, a center of circulation and intention, everything changes. Decisions get clearer, bills feel lighter, meals become more than maintenance. They become rituals of abundance. And yes, somewhere in the middle of this journey, I'll tell you about a globally recognized entrepreneur, someone whose empire has touched millions, who once made a small, almost imperceptible shift in her kitchen. A shift that, according to her, changed the way she thought, moved, and created success. You'll want to stay with me for that. But first, let's begin where imbalance most often hides, where energy quietly slips away without you even knowing. The stove that faces the wrong direction, the corner cluttered with unpaid bills, the sink that unknowingly drains not just water, but financial chi. This first principle we're about to cover is the most common kitchen mistake I see, and it's the one that could be sending prosperity straight out your front door, every single day. Before we dive in, let me offer something from the heart. If you find value in the content I share, if this video helps you reframe your space, shift your energy, or even just take one small action toward peace and prosperity, I'd be honored if you help this community grow. A like tells the algorithm this content is worth spreading. A comment makes it a conversation, not just a monologue. And a share might be the very thing that helps someone close to you reconnect with their space in a way they didn't know they needed. We're close to reaching our first 2,000 subscribers here at New Day Mindfulness. And every gesture of support allows me to continue creating deeply rooted, thoughtfully crafted videos like this one. So take a deep breath with me, in through the nose, soft and long, and out through the mouth, slow and steady. Let this moment become a pause. Let the words ahead meet you not just as information, but as invitation. Your kitchen is listening. Your energy is ready. Now let's begin where it matters most. Principle 1, The stove should not face the main door or the bathroom. In Feng Shui, the stove is not merely an appliance. It is the heart of your financial life. It is your fire element in its purest domestic form, a silent engine of prosperity, transformation, and sustenance. But as with any source of fire, direction matters. Position matters. Because if your fire is not protected, it burns out. If it is exposed, it flickers in uncertainty. And if it faces the wrong direction, its power begins to betray you. One of the most common energetic misalignments found in modern kitchens is a stove that directly faces either the main entrance or the bathroom. And though it may seem harmless, just a coincidence of layout or convenience, the energetic consequences can be persistent, subtle, and deeply disruptive. Let's begin with the stove that faces the front door. In Feng Shui, the main entrance of your home is the mouth through which life force, or qi, enters. It is the gateway to all incoming energy, opportunity, wealth, news, support. But if the very next thing that energy meets is your stove, unshielded, unbuffered, exposed, it creates a conflict of flow. The qi comes in, sees the fire, and rushes out. The result is often described as leaking wealth. Not because money is literally disappearing, but because the energy of prosperity has no place to settle. It arrives, glances around, and is pulled away by the direct path of exit. You might experience this as unstable income, deals that begin with promise but fall through, opportunities that seem to show up but vanish before you can act. There's effort, but no accumulation, and it feels like trying to fill a bowl that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it drains faster than it fills. When the stove instead faces the bathroom, or worse, sits directly across from the toilet door, another symbolic issue arises. The bathroom in Feng Shui is the place of drainage, release, and downward flow. It is necessary. It is functional, but it is not where fire belongs. Fire is upward, active, prosperous. The bathroom is yin, quiet, dissolving. When these two are forced into direct dialogue, when your stove faces the bathroom, you create an energetic tug of war that links your wealth to waste, your health to depletion, your efforts to loss. Many people with this configuration report frequent unexpected expenses, health-related costs, or a sense that money disappears as soon as it arrives. It's not magic, it's metaphor, reflected into real life. This isn't theory, it's pattern. And sometimes even the most high-profile homes are not immune. Take, for example, the case of Kim Kardashian. According to her interior design team, during a home renovation phase, her Feng Shui consultant flagged a key issue in the kitchen. The stove was facing a long hallway that opened toward the front entrance, and just off to the side was a powder room, creating a direct energetic line between the financial fire, the exit point of the home, and a place of drainage. The recommendation was simple but powerful. They added a custom partition wall behind the stove, constructed with warm-toned wood and brass accents, both to contain and support the fire element. This partition acted as a symbolic and physical buffer, allowing the stove to retain its power without exposure to opposing flows. The reported outcome? An immediate shift in the energy of the space. More calm, less friction, improved family interaction, a noticeable improvement in daily routines. And when a home like that shifts, even with all its resources and stability, it reminds us that energy doesn't care about net worth. It cares about alignment. Now, not everyone has the option to renovate. Most people live in fixed layouts, rentals, inherited homes, or small apartments where redesign is simply not feasible. But Feng Shui is not rigid, it's adaptive. It invites harmony through subtle correction, not demolition. So if your stove does face the door or the bathroom, there are ways to reclaim energetic balance without construction. Start with reflection. If your stove faces the front door, place a round mirror on the inner surface of the entrance, facing inward. In Feng Shui, the circle is a symbol of wholeness, unity, and redirection. A round mirror acts like a qi diffuser, helping to circulate and soften incoming energy so it doesn't rush in and collide with the fire. It reflects intention back into the home, preventing leakage and offering symbolic protection. Avoid placing the mirror directly above the stove. This can double the fire element, which may lead to excess stress or conflict. Keep it close to the door, where it does the work of buffering. Next, introduce a gentle boundary. Place a tall plant, decorative screen, or narrow bookshelf between the stove and the entrance pathway. This doesn't have to obstruct movement, but it should interrupt the line of sight. Qi moves like a breeze. If you can redirect the breeze, you can redirect the outcome. A monstera, a ficus, or a lucky bamboo in a tall ceramic pot are not only symbolically effective, they're beautiful, and they tell the energy of the space. Slow down, settle, stay. If your stove faces a bathroom, close the bathroom door when not in use. Always. Place a warm-toned mat or runner on the floor between the stove and the bathroom entrance. This serves two purposes. It grounds the fire element by reinforcing it with earth tones, and it acts as an energetic cushion, reducing the severity of the clash between fire and water. A dark red, burnt orange, or golden brown mat works best. Colors that hold the heat, that say to the qi, this fire is stable, it won't be extinguished. And perhaps most powerful of all, be intentional every time you use your stove. In Feng Shui, energy responds to attention. If you stir with resentment, you feed instability. If you cook with distraction, the room mirrors it back. But if you approach your kitchen with presence, if you light the burner and say to yourself, I nourish my home, I feed my fortune, you begin to recalibrate not only the room, but your relationship with money itself. Because wealth is not just numbers, it's rhythm. And the kitchen, when aligned, becomes your metronome. In the end, the stove is more than metal and flame. It is the symbol of your ability to transform raw resources into sustenance, chaos into nourishment, uncertainty into ritual. When it's placed with care, it becomes a hearth, a center of warmth, wealth, and calm authority. When it's misaligned, it acts like an open gate, letting prosperity wander off without you even knowing. But now you know, and that knowledge paired with intention is the first step toward reclaiming flow. Principle 2, choose fire and earth element colors. In the language of Feng Shui, color is not merely decoration, it is vibration. It speaks directly to the energy systems of your home, influencing not only how a space feels, but how it functions. Every room in your house holds an elemental blueprint, a dominant force that shapes its energy field. In the kitchen, that element is fire. And like any fire, it must be supported, nourished, and contained with care. Color is the tool that allows us to do just that. When you choose the right colors for your kitchen, not just what's trendy or aesthetic, but what's energetically aligned, you transform more than the room. You transform what the room gives back to you. In Feng Shui's 5-element theory, fire is fueled by earth. Earth feeds and stabilizes fire, keeping it from burning out or flaring too chaotically. That's why the ideal color palette for the kitchen is built on warm, rich hues, tones that echo flame, clay, sand, and sun. These colors not only strengthen the elemental flow of the kitchen, but also create an atmosphere of warmth, appetite, connection, and prosperity. They make the room feel alive, and more importantly, they help the energy in that space remain consistent and nourishing over time. The best fire colors include reds, vermilion, coral, and burnt orange. These hues activate vitality, invite stimulation, and encourage active presence. They tell your subconscious, this space matters. Be alert, be engaged. In kitchens where conversation often feels cold, where meals are eaten in silence, or everyone seems to pass through without connecting, the absence of fire tones is often the invisible culprit. These colors aren't loud unless misused. In the right doses, they simply say, life is happening here. The best earth colors, terracotta, ochre, beige, soft yellow, golden brown, bring a sense of containment, support, and calm regulation. They ground the upward energy of fire and ensure it doesn't become overwhelming. Earth tones stabilize the digestive system, foster trust between family members, and help anchor prosperity in a form that lasts. The combination of fire and earth within your kitchen doesn't just feel beautiful. It creates a conversation between action and structure. It supports enthusiasm without chaos, movement without depletion, nourishment without excess. Now, just as some colors support, others suppress. Water element colors, blues, navy, black, extinguish fire. While these shades may be serene in bathrooms or bedrooms, they are discordant in the kitchen. A kitchen bathed in navy cabinetry or with dominant black finishes often feels cold, withdrawn, or energetically mute. Over time, these tones can subtly dampen appetite, suppress warmth, and create emotional disconnection within the family field. Even more problematic is the overuse of white or silver metallics. While metal supports water in the 5-element cycle, it weakens earth. Too much sterile white or brushed chrome in the kitchen creates an atmosphere that feels clinical or over-sanitized. It may look modern, but energetically it becomes void, disconnected from taste, smell, sensation, and memory. These kitchens often feel lifeless, even when clean and well-designed. They struggle to anchor family bonding or hold consistent financial warmth. When the color scheme is dominated by cool tones and reflective surfaces, it subtly mirrors lack, absence, or detachment. But let's be clear, you don't need to repaint your entire kitchen to realign the color field. Feng Shui is never about excess. It's about intentional layering. Small additions can dramatically recalibrate the energy of a space. If your cabinets are white or gray, introduce fire or earth through accessories, terracotta pots, a set of red or coral ceramic dishes, yellow napkins, wooden utensils, or warm-toned lighting fixtures, a beige runner under the dining table, an amber glass jar filled with rice, a cinnamon-colored spice rack. Even a warm-toned painting or tile backsplash can shift the visual frequency. These touches do more than please the eye. They signal to your environment. I value nourishment. I cultivate warmth. I welcome sustainable abundance. This practice isn't limited to Eastern traditions alone. Color psychology is now widely validated in environmental design, behavioral science, and even corporate branding. In fact, Oprah Winfrey, known for curating deeply intentional spaces, has worked with color consultants for years. In one of her residences, she reportedly chose to use warm golds, amber tones, and rustic stone finishes in her kitchen to create a field of grounded, relaxed productivity. These colors were not selected for trend appeal. They were chosen for how they made her feel. And that's the real root of color in Feng Shui. Not what looks good, what feels aligned. When your kitchen holds the tones of fire and earth, your body responds with appetite and ease. Your mind associates the space with focus, ritual, and reward. Your relationships find a rhythm, and your financial energy, held by the element of fire, finds the structure it needs to grow without burning out. So take a moment and look around your own kitchen. What color story does it tell? Does it energize or deplete? Does it welcome or resist? Does it hold heat or surrender it? If your space feels cold, harsh, or disconnected, begin small. Add one warm light bulb. Swap out a towel or utensil for one in a rich, earthy tone. Place a bowl of oranges, a symbol of abundance and fire, on the counter. Introduce one terracotta tile as a heat-resistant trivet. The shift doesn't have to be dramatic, but it must be intentional. Because when your kitchen becomes a conversation between fire and earth, you will feel it, not just when you cook, but when you think, when you share. The energy of money is drawn to warmth. It flows toward clarity, and it stays where it is held with love, not pressure. Principle 3, avoid placing the stove next to the sink. In Feng Shui, the structure of a kitchen is more than a matter of utility. It is a conversation between elements: fire, water, earth, metal, and wood, each carrying its own energetic resonance and symbolic weight. When arranged with awareness, they support one another in a nourishing rhythm. But when they are forced into opposition, they clash, and those clashes are rarely silent. One of the most common and quietly destabilizing architectural errors is placing the stove directly beside the sink. While this may seem harmless from a construction or flow perspective, energetically it creates a battlefield. Fire and water are elemental opposites. One rises, the other descends. One consumes, the other dissolves. When placed too closely together, side by side without separation, they initiate a conflict that is not just theoretical, but deeply felt in daily life. At the most basic level, this arrangement weakens both elements. The fire that represents prosperity, nourishment, and motivation is constantly attacked by the water that symbolizes release, emotion, and flow. Symbolically, it's the equivalent of trying to build and dissolve something at the same time. You ignite effort with one hand while extinguishing it with the other. Over time, this leads to inner contradiction. You may find yourself full of ideas that never reach completion, plans that begin strong but evaporate before they take form, financial goals that scatter in the face of unexpected expenses or emotional sabotage. Relationships, too, begin to feel the strain. Couples often report increased arguments about money. Communication begins to mirror the energetic push-pull of the layout. Heat followed by silence, assertion followed by avoidance. There may be friction during meals, tension in small decisions, or a general lack of cohesion in daily routines. It's not personal, it's environmental. Your kitchen is feeding that dynamic. Even the body responds. When the elements are misaligned, the nervous system enters a state of low-level confusion. You're digesting and draining at the same time. The fire energy that supports digestion is diluted by the water energy of release. Appetite decreases, bloating increases. Meals no longer feel nourishing. They become just another task. And this loss of ritual around food, which is meant to anchor well-being and financial presence, creates ripple effects that extend into work, rest, and relationship patterns. But this doesn't mean your home is doomed to dysfunction. Feng Shui doesn't punish, it reveals. And once the pattern is seen, it can be softened. If you are in the process of renovating or designing, the ideal solution is clear. Ensure that there is counter space, at least one substantial step or arm's length, between your stove and sink. This space becomes a buffer zone, a place of neutrality where energy is not clashing, but transitioning. It's where wood, the harmonizing element between fire and water, can be introduced to ease the tension. In the 5-element cycle, wood supports fire and tames water. It is the natural bridge. So if renovation isn't an option, and your sink and stove must remain side by side, you can still restore harmony through the intelligent use of wood element objects. A wooden cutting board placed between the two serves both functional and energetic purpose. It introduces a physical divider and carries the vibration of balance. A green plant, particularly bamboo, is even more potent. Bamboo, as a Feng Shui symbol, is flexible, adaptive, and deeply harmonizing. It grows quickly, reaches upward, and thrives in both water and light. When placed between your sink and stove, it silently absorbs the elemental tension and transforms it into growth. It does not erase the architectural flaw, but it shifts its energy signature. A ceramic bowl of fruit, especially citrus or apples, can also soften the clash. The roundness represents unity, while the colors of the fruit often correspond to fire or earth, bringing warmth and containment. Even your choice of materials and finishes can help. Avoid metal or reflective objects between the sink and stove, as metal feeds water in the 5-element cycle and can further imbalance the space. Opt instead for matte, natural textures, woven baskets, clay jars, linen towels, and warm earth tones. Every one of these decisions adds a thread of coherence to the energetic weave of your kitchen. This principle is not just practiced in ancient traditions, it is echoed in modern design for those attuned to spatial psychology. Jeff Bezos, for example, is known not only for his minimalism, but for the deliberate intentionality behind his environments. Leaked blueprints and design notes from some of his personal properties reveal a consistent strategy: distinct spatial zoning. His kitchens, though modern and sleek, do not blur the boundaries between prep, water, and cooking areas. Instead, they form what designers refer to as an energy triangle, each zone holding its own purpose, its own element, its own rhythm. This isn't superstition, it's functionality tuned to flow, it's success modeled in space. And when you apply the same principle in your home, even in a modest kitchen, you begin to feel it. The clashing quiets, the meals taste better, the arguments soften, your ideas begin to finish themselves. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to sense that your effort is finally being held, not extinguished, not drained, but supported. Because when fire and water are given space to coexist with grace, everything downstream benefits. Your finances, your digestion, your relationships, your peace. Principle 4, maintain active, clean, and symbolically aligned kitchen energy. Energy stagnation doesn't begin with catastrophe, it begins with neglect. Quiet, habitual, unintentional. A dish left unwashed overnight, a corner that accumulates receipts, a stove burner that's been broken for so long you no longer notice it. But in Feng Shui, your kitchen is not simply the place where you prepare food. It is the living, breathing embodiment of your engagement with daily life. It is your active altar, your prosperity engine, and your energy mirror. When it's clean, alive, and symbolically tended to, it becomes a space that feeds not just the body, but your focus, your decisions, and your financial potential. But when it falls into disrepair, physically or energetically, it quietly begins to broadcast that same signal of disorder into your home's entire energy system. Your stove, in particular, is one of the most potent energetic symbols of wealth. Not just because it represents fire, but because it directly corresponds to the health of your income streams. In Feng Shui, each burner is seen as a channel of financial opportunity. One burner may represent your job, another could represent a side business, a long-term investment, or even an unforeseen windfall. When you only use one burner out of habit, or when several remain broken or neglected, you send an unintentional message to the field around you. I only expect one stream of support. You limit your energetic readiness. So one of the simplest yet most transformative acts you can take is to use all burners throughout the week. Rotate them, clean them thoroughly. Let each burner know it matters. Because when the fire element is consistently honored, it begins to multiply in your life, quietly, naturally, without force. A cluttered stove is not just a visual nuisance, it is a chi barrier. Oil splatter, forgotten crumbs, pots left unattended. These don't just reflect laziness. They hold the frequency of delay, mental fog, and missed momentum. And momentum is everything when it comes to wealth. Clean burners ignite clarity. Shining metal reflects attention. When your stove gleams, your intentions burn cleaner, and your financial energy begins to echo that same precision. But the stove is only part of the picture. Consider your countertops. Are they covered in unused appliances, tangled cords, or dull decor? When your prep space is congested, the very act of preparing food, of engaging with nourishment and care, becomes energetically burdened. You may not realize it, but your subconscious does. It begins to associate effort with resistance. Decisions become harder. Flow diminishes. That's why clearing your counters is not an aesthetic preference. It's an energetic necessity. Appliances you haven't used in the last 3 months should be stored or donated. Create visual and energetic space so that your actions can unfold with ease. Trash bins, often overlooked, are another key player. In Feng Shui, trash holds downward energy. It's the residue of effort, the byproduct of transformation. It must be honored, but it must also be contained. An uncovered trash bin in the kitchen allows waste qi to mix with food chai, financial and digestive energies alike. Over time, this can show up as persistent mental fatigue, budgeting issues, or lack of clarity around priorities. Keep trash covered, remove frequently, and never let it become part of the visual field. It should not be the first or last thing you see when entering or exiting the kitchen. Knives, too, are powerful symbols. Sharpness in the right context is focus. But when left exposed, especially in blocks or open racks, they begin to cut the energy of the space. This can translate into verbal friction, unexpected tension, or a sense of guardedness in the home. Store knives in drawers or visible. Place them with intention, ensuring they are clean, upright, and not dominating the room's emotional field. You want your kitchen to reflect welcome, not wariness. And then there are the objects that enhance prosperity. A bowl of oranges or lemons placed in full view does more than brighten the space. It radiates continuity, freshness, and abundance. Oranges have long been considered wealth symbols in Chinese metaphysics, not only for their color, but for their roundness, the shape of cycles, fullness, and unbroken flow. Lemons, with their cleansing scent and bright presence, cut through stagnant qi and keep the environment feeling alive. Replace them weekly. Let the act of tending to fruit become a micro-ritual, an affirmation of your attention to wealth and health. If safe, a mirror behind the stove can be a powerful tool. Symbolically, it doubles the burners and by extension, doubles your financial output. This must be done with care. Never place mirrors where they reflect clutter, open flames excessively, or create glare. But when aligned correctly, they become reflectors of intention. They say to the universe, I am ready for expansion. And if you feel your kitchen lacks vitality, infuse it with fresh flowers and warm light. The kitchen tends to lean toward yin energy, more quiet, subdued, repetitive. But prosperity needs yang. It needs life, bloom, contrast, and joy. A bouquet of mums, sunflowers, or tulips can lift the entire room's frequency. And yellow flowers in particular carry the vibration of earth, supporting both digestion and financial clarity. Place them in the center of your island or wherever the eye naturally lands. Light, too, is essential. Swap harsh overhead bulbs for warmer tones. Allow lamps or pendant lights to create glow zones. Let the space feel inviting, not sterile. One client comes to mind, a working mother in Toronto who had been dealing with cash flow issues for over a year. She was always busy, but the money never seemed to stabilize. During a consultation, we found 3 of her 4 stove burners were broken. The trash bin sat uncovered. Her counters were crowded, and a single dull light flickered above. She had stopped seeing it. It had become normal. Within 2 weeks of replacing the stove, clearing the kitchen, and placing a simple bouquet of yellow mums in a vase, she was offered a freelance contract she hadn't even pursued. Her words were, "It felt like money finally stopped resisting me." I call that alignment. She called it coincidence. But her breath was different when she said it. Lighter, less pressed, more open to what was next. Your kitchen doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. And every act of cleaning, organizing, or elevating in that space is not just domestic, it's energetic. You're telling your home, your finances, and your future that you're paying attention, that you care about what feeds you, that you're ready to receive not just more, but better. When that message becomes consistent, the flow that follows is not luck, it's response. Final one. Your kitchen is not just where you chop, stir, and serve. It is where your energy, attention, and intention gather daily to shape the story of your life. Every corner, every burner, every bowl left on the counter speaks to how you hold your wealth, how you manage your health, and how you move through challenge. This room is not passive. It reflects you, echoes you, and when cared for, it quietly supports you in ways most people never even realize. When you align it with balance, with color, with cleanliness and symbolic care, you are not just organizing space, you're activating your future. What we've explored today are not rituals of belief, they are practices of stewardship. Feng Shui, at its core, is not superstition. It is sacred management, a way of listening to space, of noticing where things flow and where they falter, and gently correcting the course with presence. The 4 principles we've covered: protecting the stove's position, choosing a lineal color, avoiding elemental clashes, and actively tending to the energy of the room, are each powerful on their own. But when combined, they transform your kitchen from a place of repetition into a sanctuary of renewal, a vault of prosperity, a space that works with you, not against you. So now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these kitchen shifts spoke to you most deeply? Was it the placement of your stove, the colors on your walls, the idea that even a broken burner could symbolize blocked income? Share your intention in the comments below. You never know, your insight might be the very nudge someone else needs to take their first step. Let this space become a place of shared learning and quiet transformation. And if this video offered you clarity, a breath of possibility, or even just a gentle invitation to look at your space a little differently, I invite you to support this growing community. A like lets me know the message resonated. A share may help someone close to you reclaim their flow. And a subscribe helps this channel, New Day Mindfulness, reach our next milestone of 2,000 subscribers so I can continue bringing grounded, beautiful, and practical Feng Shui guidance to you each week. Thank you for spending this time with me. May your kitchen become a space of nourishment, not just for the body, but for the path ahead. May your energy move freely, your finances find steady rhythm, and your home rise quietly to support the life you're ready to build. Until next time, keep tending gently and trust that every shift you make is already shaping something better.